Can I change that? And there she is. Where
All
is
right,
she? She popped in and
we are
popped out.
live in living color. We're live and in living color. Welcome to Coach's Corner, Coach's Corner with Oliver, John, and Wayne. And it is the second what? Yeah, it's the second day of April. It's the second
Mhm.
day of the second quarter of 2024. And welcome everyone. And we're delighted to be here. Uh, if you're wondering what Coach's Corner is, it is in 2024, it is a quarterly gathering of this dynamic group of servants who are in the coaching space. First of all, John Ebron is out of San Diego,
San
San
Antonio.
Antonio, Texas.
Close. Close.
Yes, and Wayne Moody, who is the Minister of Transformation for the country of Belize, is in currently in Houston, Texas,
Yes, sir.
and then yours truly right here out of the state of North Carolina. Oh, we're delighted to be here. We're delighted to have these opportunities to add value and build goodwill in the communities that we serve. We're not just takers. We're givers. We're first of all givers, and we never take, right? We just receive from what we have given. I mean, that's the law. That's the
Yep.
law of seed time and harvest. And we cannot but receive from what we give. And none of us can but receive from what we give. And to be honest with you, all of us have received from what we have given. And so this quarter, um, we're going to dive right in. So John's going to be leaving us shortly, but we want to dive right in on this quarter's uh, sharing. All right, and we talked about the fact that we're at the beginning of a new quarter, at the beginning of a new month, and it's always a good time to reflect, right, on what we have done, and the best, most uh, unbiased way to reflect on what we've done is to look at our what? Look at our results, right? Because results don't lie, and results leave clues, right? And so it's good to reflect, right? When we're changing seasons, just like in the natural, you got the four seasons. Well, likewise, we break down the whole year into four quarters, and give it a measurable way to kind of uh, look at where we are. Look at and it's a good time to course correct if we notice what we're noticing, right? That we're not on track or we're not getting the results that we desire. But what it does is it's not a time of judgment, but it's a time of course correction. And it gives us feedback as to where we are hitting it and we want to keep hitting it, and where we're missing it, where we may want to make some adjustments. And so that's what we want to share today and talk about, because all of us, if you're living, if you're breathing, you're getting results. You may not like them, you may not even be aware of them, but you're getting them, right? So
Yes.
results do matter. And I know that John um, and I know that Wayne are all about helping their clients get to the outcomes or get to the transformation that they come to you guys for, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So John, why don't you uh, give us some of the game where that's concerned, where we just I kind of set the tone there.
You did. You did a great job too. And I'll tell you what was screaming in me as you were talking was the adult response of holding that in non-judgment, right? I mean, now I'm gonna pick on Wayne as much as I can for the little bit of time I got here, because it wouldn't be me if I didn't do that. But that's one of Wayne's mantra, right? Non-judgment, non-judgment, right? I'm holding space for my clients with no judgment. But it is. I literally just jumped off of a training with a smart group there on the East Coast, and we're talking about building bridges, and building collaborative relationships. But it doesn't only work there; it also works in this space of recalibration and reevaluation that you're talking about. Q2. We are 2 days into Q2, baby.
Yes.
And this
Day
is
two.
such a great time to do that, right? And so guilt and shame and judgment, all of that is energy hemorrhaging away from your ultimate goal, right? It is an adult response to hold your evaluation, your reevaluation in a space of non-judgment. You don't have time for it, right? You don't have time to divert your energy away from the lessons, right? I can't remember who it was. I heard Jim Rohn say this once, and I've been on this kick for the past couple of days. Everybody's been getting this, so I need to put it on Instagram. Don't let your learning lead to knowledge. Let your learning lead to action. Let it lead to doing. We've got so much to do, and recalibration is a natural part of that process.
That's right.
And so anything that gets in the way of that healthy process of saying, man, this is something I can celebrate, this is something I can acknowledge, this is something I can tweak. All of this, oh, why didn't I? And oh, I can't believe I, and oh, I'm so stupid because you're too grown for that. We don't have time for that, right? Hold your reevaluation in a space of non-judgment so you can get all of that great learning and turn it into kinetic energy that is going to crush those Q2 goals. That's what I got to say.
Wow. Well, that is definitely your vibe, and it will land where it needs to land, and that's some great insight. And Wayne and I share the same program, one of the same programs that we use in our coaching business, and in that program, it talks about focus, and where we focus our attention, that is what is going to grow, right? And that is what is going to expand. So, Wayne, can you share from that perspective why it is important to focus on what we have not done, but to keep the focus on the vision and where we're going?
Well, I got to throw in here a little bit before I get there, reference to a practice, right? And it's about practice for me because
Yes.
practice actually makes you better, not perfect. And one of the practice that I have as a part of the coaching that I do is my forgiveness practice. And my forgiveness practice reference to at the end of every day, I say, when you're forgiven. Because I start my day before the day, but I do start with what I expect the day was going to be. But I've never had a perfect day. And because I've missed the mark, I can say I'm forgiven because I am forgiven. So I don't bring into tomorrow what I didn't do yesterday or what I missed yesterday. So like for today, I started today with a clean slate. I have a brand new slate today. And that's the slate that I'm going to write on. So reference to where I'm at today, it's doing the work today to be better than I was yesterday. So even though I'm at going into the second quarter, that's the frame of mind I'm going in. I'm free. And like John said earlier, I endeavor to create a space for myself first that is judgment-free, guilt-free, shame-free, because that's the space that is expansive. And I can throw another wrench in here right now because this is how a lot of religious people are actually functioning. Churches are functioning and using condemnation, guilt, and fear, and it goes to the point where I say people are pimped. But can you tell me what I was supposed to talk about again before we?
You're talking about it. You're talking about it.
I love you, Wayne.
So because you start the day with a clean slate, right? That means that now you can focus your energy, right? Keep your energy concentrated on the goal, on the vision, on that which you desire. Because you and I both teach that energy goes where it's what? Directed.
And
right? And so the importance of keeping it on the vision, but you first got to have one.
Let me get back there again, and I'm going to answer the question now, because whatever you focus on is going to be magnified. Whatever you focus on is going to be magnified. So, like, you put a little bug under the microscope and you focus on it, that bug becomes the whole room. If I focus on what I think I don't have, that's what's going to be.
Yes.
If I focus on what I think I do have, which I do have, and you know me, I'm very much using this imagination. And John is like, hold it a second, watch what you're doing with your imagination. Don't,
right.
Listen, I'm gonna incorporate you guys in an imagination. I'm gonna send the energy, and like you said, wherever energy goes, right? That's where attention goes, energy flows. And you see where my background, I can't do anything but see my background. This is a flag of Belize. So I'm so focused on Belize. I tell you, you go and you sit in my restroom and there's a Belize flag there. So wherever energy goes, wherever you're focusing your attention. And I'm here, but I'm the minister of transformation of Belize.
Well, that's quite obvious that your vision and your goal is definite. I mean, it is laser focused. You know where you're called to and what you're called to, and that's why, as John and I have been around you for the last 2 years, your expanded awareness of what that calling is have touched so many other people's lives that you've brought us in on the deal, right? It's almost like all the other countries of the world are going to have to shut down in 2025.
Here we go, right?
And here we go. That's right. And so we just love your passion, Wayne, for your country. I wish Americans would have the passion for their country the way you have the passion for your country.
Yeah.
But so given what John has said and what Wayne has said in the framework that I have set here, so what role does our results play? How can we use results to pause and use the feedback, because that's what it is, to help us to refocus, right? What questions should we be asking about the feedback? Because the feedback really leaves us a lot of clues into, where we may have had our focus, right? Or where we may have neglected where we should have had our focus, right? Because the results will show, right? And so we look at them with no judgment, right? But we look at them only to refocus the energy where we need to direct it in the next 3 months.
Yeah.
And so, John, how does that look in your space?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because you've got results from your first quarter. You have, relationships. You have your health and wellness. You have your career and your business, and you have your time and money freedom, and you have goals in all those areas, or you have desires in all those areas. So how is that stirring up for you as you pause to take a look at it, and how you're going to use it moving into Q2?
Powerful question. You mentioned something just now about when you asked, what are results? What are results? And what I teach, which is similar or is really the same as what we all teach, just basic principles, right? There are no new fundamentals, right? And the fundamentals are fundamental. Is that results are reality, right? Results are the buck stops here, right? I teach people, it may feel like semantics, but I feel like there is a pocket of power that you kind of release from this perspective. Never try to change results. Results are results. Now, you can get a new set of results, right? But if you did something, you had a cause, you had an effect, that is what that is, right? And so I teach my clients that you perceive reality. This results are reality. Boom, bam, there it is, right? It's what's real. Not what I'm thinking, not what I'm hoping, not what I'm wishing. It is what it is. And you'll very seldom ever hear me say that phrase, but you know what I mean. Now, we perceive reality in two different dimensions: the way that things are, and the way that things could be or should be, right? And so now we're right over here in this dimension of the way things are. This is the most congealed, concentrated, condensed, energetic form that we have in our lives, right? These are the things that are, and they could show us so much, right? So I go into this Q2 with a planned, scheduled time on my calendar, right? No white space. It's on my calendar of saying, what we call this, Wayne, we call this an AAR, right? An after action review. What was supposed to happen? What were the goals that we identified, right? What actually happened? What showed up as a result of what we did? What can we improve on? You know, where were some opportunities missed? And so I call this, and I actually just posted this. I post this periodically on my Instagram. I just posted this last week, I think it was, or yesterday, or one day. It's an exercise I use with my clients as an end of week practice. I call it acting up, right? So it's ACT, ACT, right? So what to acknowledge. So you break out your day planner or your journal and your calendar and everything where you have gathered information, and you strategically, you know, meticulously go through and acknowledge everything that you can acknowledge. I had 24 engagements this week, right? I went to the gym 4 times this week, you know. I had 5 sales calls this week. You know, I wrote 3 proposals this week. I got 12 rejections this week, right? Whatever it is,
Right.
right? Acknowledge everything that happened, what is, right? Then you go to the C, ACT. Then you celebrate. Man, I did a 30% increase last week to this week. You know, I got a 5% success rate on all the proposals that I submitted, right? Whatever it is, celebrate, find the most minute thing and celebrate all of those things, right? And then finally tweak. What can you tweak for this upcoming quarter? So I had a plan, even if the plan was I'm gonna do stuff.
That was your plan.
It was the deepest plan that I had in Q1.
Right.
And I did some stuff, right? And now I looked at the stuff that I did and I said, you know what? I'm going to not do stuff. I'm going to do 12 times this over the next quarter. I'm going to go to the gym 5 times a week, take 2 days off. I'm going to go to the gym twice a week, you know, and schedule recovery time. I'm going to factor in, you know, I'm going to read 12 books over the next 12 weeks, right? Whatever it is, right? And so your planning gets so much better every time you do it, right? So I say that have a business meeting with yourself. You know, get all of your inputs. You know, if it's, you know, data that you pull in from your website or insights from your staff, if you have staff, if you're not a lone ranger like myself, right? You know, and then don't interpret, pull in that data, right? Like a brainstorm. And then say, what is it, before you ask, what does it mean, right? And so you go through that process of that kind of evaluation. And in a relaxed manner, as you typically, when you brainstorm, when you get everything out in a non-judgmental way, Once you get it out, step away from it, turn away from it, go look back at it again, you'll start seeing there are sequence to things and there are groupings to things, right? And you just allow that to naturally form for yourself. And that will give you your next steps in your project planning,
Yes.
your planning for your next quarter. So I'll stop there. But it's a very natural process. It's a very natural process, and it gets stronger, more efficient every time you engage in it.
Thanks, John. And you basically talking about being more specific about the steps, right? More specificity. It breeds more offspring, right? So,
Absolutely.
and that can happen not only in your business, but he was talking from a business perspective. But I mean, you do your relationships the same way. How about your health? We all are feeling a certain way, right, today, based on what we've done the last 3 months. So in evaluating what we've done, what we've consumed, what we've thought. But the thinking is a big part of how we feel and the health and well-being, right? How much time have we spent thinking about our goals, thinking about our achievements, thinking about where we're going, versus how much time have we spent, right? How much dead time have we spent loathing in what hasn't happened, what hasn't occurred, right? What's in the past, which we can't do anything about, right? By giving thought energy to it. And so all of this is a part of taking results and using them to course correct so that, we become, like you use the word efficient. And I expect that coming from you, so that we can be more efficient, more productive, right? And what I would hear Wayne say is that that we can be more ignited and excited, right, about what's possible in our life, right?
Yeah.
And so, Wayne, I know.
One quick thing, I have to bounce, but
I know you're going to jump off. Go ahead. Give us a final nugget here.
A final nugget. It is really tied into what you're just saying there. Like we kind of beat pretty heavy on the guilt and the shame and the judgment leading in, but this is an area where guilt and shame can creep in and steal some goodness from us, right? So I'll use this as an example. I use a spreadsheet to track my workouts, right? So I'll go in and I'm going to do leg workout today. So I'm going to do so many sets of this exercise, so on and so forth. And I'll have a spreadsheet, a workbook consisting of sheets of what I'm going to do every day of that week. So that workbook is for week 8, in the first 12 weeks of the month, whatnot. And there are times where I will go through and there are 3 sheets, 2 sheets, 1 sheet, no sheets filled out for that particular week, right? I worked out exactly 0 times this week, right? And if I allow myself to feel guilty about that, I would say, I'm not going to save that workbook, right? I'm just going to delete that and just use that for the next week. I'll just change the name of it from week 12, week 10 to week 11, right? But you know what I do? I save that workbook as a PDF file and I put it in my file of workouts that I've tracked throughout the time period. I put it in a non-editable document and I allow that to let that information inform my next steps.
Right.
So I say guilt could make you eradicate, let's say, a less than optimal executed plan. You don't feel good about the results you got for that period, that day, that week, that month. And you say, oh, I'm not going to worry about that. It's under the blood. We're going to leave that alone, right? Right? No. All of your experiences are to be honored.
Yes.
All of your experiences are to be honored. And I'll frame it this way: the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? All of them are to be honored. And they all say something to us. And we can use our power of perception to make it say something that's going to add value to ourselves.
That's right. Reframing it. That's right.
Yes.
That's right. Because once we experience anything in consciousness, once we had the experience, it doesn't go anywhere. It's always in consciousness. But what we and how we transform it and reframe it in order to use it as positive energy, right,
Mhm.
for our next quarter, our next version, our next adventure. That's where the transformed person, that's what the transformed person does, right?
Absolutely.
He takes everything and reframe everything to make it energetic, right? And make it powerful, because we're creative beings, we're creators, right? That's what we can do, right? Without the knowledge of that, we take it and use it against our very own self, right? And
So powerful.
so that's where I see, that's the purpose, that's the good purpose that I see for taking a look at your results and measuring your results. If for nothing else, to create a baseline for where you're going.
There you
You
go.
see what I'm saying? If for
Yeah.
nothing else, just to create a baseline so that now it creates a platform where you can measure, all right, the growth for the next season that you're entering in.
That's it.
And but John, we know you have to jump off. You got another engagement, but I'm sure you've been inspired on what that subject is going to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we'll and John will be back with us in August when we have our next Coach's Corner. And but we love you, my friend.
Absolute pleasure, gentlemen. I sure appreciate you. Y'all have
Absolutely.
a great remaining of the show.
All
Much
right.
love to everyone in attendance, everyone watching. Take care.
All right.
Right. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
You said August
August or whatever the month is. I think we already got them on the calendar, right?
because we do January, February, March. That's the first quarter. April, May, June,
July. So it's in July.
July. Okay.
Yeah, it's in July.
July.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're already on our calendar, so we know when they are. That's my mind speaking without the calendar. But Wayne, one thing, one way to sum up all of what we've already said is, even though we look at our lives in weeks and months and quarters and years, learning how to harvest the good out of that and forgive the rest, that is a needful skill set. And that's a powerful skill set. Harvesting the good, forgiving the rest. So how do you share that with your clients, your community? How do you work that in your own life?
Well, like I was saying earlier, doing that daily practice of acknowledging where I've missed the mark. And a lot of time we deny having missed the mark. And it's a spiritual principle because he says if you say you have not missed the mark, then you lie. And every day I miss the mark. So every day I got to say I'm forgiven. And as my mindset is such that when the day is finished, I can just be at peace. And when I work with my clients, I endeavor to speak to them freedom, not condemnation, faith, not fear. Not being guilty. Whether it's a client having to reschedule a moment or something happened that they couldn't meet with me. And I tell my clients that if you're feeling that, I want you to know it's not coming from me.
Right.
What are you thinking? Why am I thinking this way?
Right.
And honestly, they're thinking that way because they've actually been programmed to go to a place of guilt and condemnation. But it's a practice. You practice it, and they know, my clients know that I'm not going to beat you up. I'm not going to tear you down. I mean, I'm going to hold you accountable. I'm not going to let you off the hook, but it's not from a place of condemnation. It's from a place of grace, because I have to give grace because I've actually experienced grace. I have been forgiven, so I have to forgive. And when we don't forgive, and the concept that we learn in Brave Thinking Institute, one of the concepts that Mary uses is that if there's someone in jail, there has to be a jailer.
There has to be a jailer.
When I put myself in the jail and I'm the jailer, and this is why at the end of the day, I open the jail and say, "Go, you're free." Your day has been completed. And the two words that I live to hear at the end of every day is "well done." Not perfect. Well done today. Well done this week. Well done this month. Well done this quarter. Because I get a well done for the first quarter, and I'm happy about getting a well done because it motivates me to go into the next quarter. But I live by learning and practicing the principles of forgiving myself, being forgiven every day, endeavoring to forgive others because others have missed the mark too, and I have to forgive them. I need forgiveness too because I have transgressed against somebody else. I might have said something, I might have made a particular action, and John left, but he and I was talking last week about narcissism, right? Because someone that I was relating to said to me, "Oh, you are a narcissist. You're a narcissist." And I took a deep breath and I reflected. But one of the things that I've been meditating on more recently is my I am. And I said to John, "Okay, John, you're going to be my reflection. Give me your feedback." And this is why you and John and people who are part of my mastermind are so important,
Right.
because the feedback that I got from John, John was saying he doesn't go to labeling, because labeling, when you label, you're putting an identity on something. So what I know, as I've been meditating on my I ams, I know I am not a narcissist. I won't say I am a narcissist. And the question, and as John gave me some feedback, he said, "Well, think about this." And it was positive feedback because he said, "Consider the times when you might get in a space and you take up the whole year. And there might be that tendency, but that is not who I am." So what it has done for me, it has caused me to pull back and think about what I do and make sure that what I do does not lead you to a particular perception. Now, the reality is you might have a perception of me that is not right, and I can't change perception. But what I can do is make sure that, they say it's hard to see when you're in the frame.
Right.
So if there is something for me to look at myself and make an adjustment and tweak, I will. Therefore, and I learned a lot from John, and I was telling John, what I've learned quite a bit from him is to listen and be silent,
Yes.
because I can talk and I can see where there might be a perception, but at the end of the day, my heart, which is my intention, is not to in any way, shape, or form want to cause offense, but offense will come. And if offense comes, then how do I deal with the offense that comes? So, and again, but I say that to say reference to us as the team and being able to support each other as coaches, because someone saying something, it's a word, it's a seed. What will I do with it? I need to listen, and I need to evaluate, and I need to make adjustments where I need to make adjustments. But as far as my being a narcissist, no. No, I might be confident, but not cocky. And I'm confident because I know who I am. And, Sunday at church, my apostle was saying, you have to know who you are in order that you can stand alone. And in the life of Jesus, Jesus had to know who he was because he was deserted. Everybody had been gone.
And he was thought of as a what? Narcissist. Man, they call him crazy. Man, you going out of your mind.
So, reference to just the process that we go through in reviewing and making the adjustments, because it's about every day for me working at being a better me than I was yesterday. I don't want to be the same person that was yesterday. And I don't want to, when I meet you again, I don't want to meet the same Oliver. I need to know that my awareness is being expanded.
Yes.
And the reality is, in God's sphere, I'm done. I'm just manifesting
Right.
what the
And
word has already gone forth. And even before time and immemorial, the word has gone forth.
yeah.
And I say to my clients, God has been in your past, He's in your present, and God is in your future waiting for you to get there to say, well done.
Yes.
It's complete.
Yes.
It's set up.
Well, you said it there, Wayne, when you said there's two spears here, right? There's that changeless, right, unalterable reality of the I am that is perfect and complete and whole and eternal and changeless, right? That's in the unseen realm. But then there's the seen realm where we're in this world of perception, right? Where the uh, the natural propensity is that we got to interpret everything, we got to label everything, we got to judge everything, right?
Mhm.
And the problem is that the labeling and the judgment and the interpretation is not coming from that, right, from that place of perfection, but it's coming from the place of imperfection, that place of separation, that place of humanity, right? Where it's not so much that uh, we are what people perceive us to be, but it's just a projection of their own self-image or their own the way they see their own self, right? And we
Mhm.
deal with this all the time. You know, I know you deal with it. We deal with this all the time with our clients. When most clients come to us, they've been damaged, right, by their past. They've been damaged by other people's opinion. They've been hurt in to the point that they actually believe, right, the perceptual view that others have what projected upon them. And so we always have to start out, right, with we have to fix that, you know, really before you can build, right, upon
Mhm.
um, help them build out the life that they want or fulfill the dreams that they want. We have to say time out and deal with that foundational, you know, question of who am I, right? Who am I? And that's one reason we were given the inspired name for our business, which is truly, which means the real you loves you, because we have to help people come to an awareness of their real true identity, and that real true identity is love, right? That is the essence of who we are. And so learning to look at our results, harvest the good and forgive the rest, that's where that comes from, right? Because in reality there is nothing but good, because all that's been created, all that the creator created, is good. But in a world of perception, when you look at it from a place of lack and scarcity and fear, right, and separation, everything can appear wrong.
And you
We'll
know,
have a judgment about everyone and everything, right? So
I say this that every day, no matter where you are listening today, every day is a good day.
every day is a good
And
day.
why it's a good day? Because God has made it.
Yes.
This is the day, and the psalmist David says it. This is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. God made it. And just like God created the creation, and then he says, now manage it. Now the question is, am I managing it? And that's where the missing the mark comes in. Now, again, I'm not looking for a perfect management. I'm looking for a well done management, because of the perception, because of the space in which we live.
Right.
It's gonna be, at the end of the day, there might have been something I should have said that I didn't say, or that might something that I should have said that there is some way, or even my thoughts. And as I continue to practice, I get better. I get better. I and as and until this life is finished and I breathe the last breath, it's going to be ever becoming more and more. And there's a scripture that says, though this outer man perish, the inner man is being renewed daily.
By day. That's right.
Day by day, the inner man is becoming more the true reflection of who God is. But this, because the body that we have, this body that we have, these trillions of cells, from which we get symptoms when we are afflicted. And the symptoms that we have come from what we have been consuming, what we've been thinking, what we've been drinking. It affects this house. But who am I? I'm a spiritual being on this journey called life. I'm not my body. I do have this house, this earth suit. But who am I? I'm a spiritual being conceived in the mind of God. Because, like the Lord said to Jeremiah, I knew you even before I formed you in your mother's womb. So my beginning didn't start with my mother. My mother and my father became a part of what God had intended. One sperm hit that egg out of millions. So I started a winner as far as this journey on earth. But I didn't start with my mother and father until life was placed in that thing that was conceived, because there could have been stillbirth. And if there was stillbirth, that was what it was going to be, stillbirth, but it wasn't stillbirth. And as far as my physical birthday, and I tell folks, when folks say, where are you from? I said, I'm originally from heaven, but I was dropped off in a piece of heaven called Belize. And that's where I was landed, coming into this space and time. And for me, and celebrating again, at the age of 18, I started this spiritual consciousness journey where I was challenged to be a world changer. And someone said to me, the world isn't a dilemma and needs change, but the only way the world can change is if people change. And the only way people can change is if you're truly connected to God. So why don't you submit your life to God and become a world changer at 18? And now I'm at 62. And 2 Sundays ago was 44 years I've been transforming. I've been seeing, and my world is being transformed because I'm being transformed. And I'm being transformed by the renewing of my mind. I'm being transformed by changing the thinking that exalts itself against who God really is. And that's what I got to do, because any thought that I'm thinking that is contrary to God's thinking, I need to cast it down. And all of God's thoughts towards me are good.
Only.
All God's thoughts to me are good. All God's thoughts to me are for making me a better person for me. And therefore, those are the thoughts that I think. So when someone says to me, you are a narcissist, I say, no, that's not what God says about me. And I would say what God says about me against what you says about me, because let every man be a liar and God will be true. I'm a son of the Most High. Just like my father, and you know, I look like my father. As far as my father. And just like I project the image of my earthly father, you see a picture of me and my father, you say, you go on the Morris show and they will say, you are the father. And therefore I have divine DNA. And that's why I have to live like my father. I gotta live. And you know, Sunday at church, there was a artist that performed, and he says, you can't live for God without God. And I can't even live without God, because every breath I take a breath. It is God breathing life through me. In God, I live, move, and have my being. The source of all life is God. I am one with God. I came from God, and I'm heading back to God. When I breathe that last breath, it's going to be transition. And someone told me recently, it's not a loss. You know, people say, oh, we lost them. No, I have been transitioned, because I'm thinking, and again, the scripture says, in God's presence, there is fullness of joy. At his right hand are pleasures forevermore. So this short space of time compared to eternity, I will be beamed from galaxy to galaxy, because there's so much beyond what here on earth. So there's a life beyond this experience. And that is what I anticipate. That is what I believe. And what you believe determines how you behave. So your belief is connected to what you're going to be seeing, because everything, again, as far as your thoughts, because as a man thinketh, so is he. And the thoughts that I have are the thoughts that I trust that God would continue to give me about who I am and what am I supposed to be doing. And I believe my definition of success is fulfilling the mission and the purpose and the destiny that has been God ordained. And that has been established from before time. And I'm just stepping into it. I'm just being transforming into that reality, because who I was yesterday is not who I am today. And who I'm going to be tomorrow is not going to be who I am today, because I'm ever changing, ever becoming more conscious. And the more I become aware of who God is, the more I become even more aware of who I am. And I can let go any limited thoughts, any limiting beliefs, any limited consciousness that I have picked up so far in life. But that's why I'm excited, because transformation of the nation of Belize is just ahead of me. And I'm doing it right now. I'm not waiting until I get there.
All right. Well, we are quite aware now why you've been tagged with Minister of Transformation, because you just transformed our message today. You just added that spiritual foundation, right? Which is the only foundation that we can lay, right? And so when we talk about, you know, when we really talk about what results are what God is ultimately, right? The Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, right? And all of this that happens in between, which we call our human experience, right? There's no need to get our pants all tight. There's no need to uh, um, have any worry or fear or doubt, because ultimately the results have already been what put in place, right? Ultimately. And like Wayne said, that as it was in the beginning, so it is right now, right? And so it will forever what? It will forever shall be, right? So with that said, and that's why now understand, that's why we introduced this element of forgiveness in this whole. It seemed like this been the theme of our talk today, is because if that is so, and it is so, then learning how to harvest the good, because there's only good, and forgive the rest, that is one of the best practices that one can incorporate in their personal life. Because when we do that, then we won't entertain any guilt, any condemnation, or any judgment, right? Because those things only exist because we made them. They were not created by the loving creator, but they're only because of our misperception, right? Only because of our labeling, only because of our perspective coming from a place of lack and scarcity. And in reality, there is no lack, there is no scarcity, right? And so, what really is the best use of results is for us to shift our perception, to put it right back in the put it in what, in the proper perspective, that we are children of a endless, an abundant source. And as we align our thinking, right, and our feelings and our actions, then that's what our results are going to be, filled with the fullness, right? And so thank you for reminding us, Wayne, of who we are, and that is our foundation, and it remains sure, and it remains solid, and it remains unalterable and unchangeable. And when we come from that place, like scripture says, we're coming from a pure heart. And when we come from a pure heart, we shall see good in all things, right? We'll hold our judgments, right? but we'll see the good, we'll see the light in everyone and in everything. And that's my closing statement. And I'm sticking with that.
All right.
Right. Well, look, we've come to the not the end, but we're going to pause right until July, when we'll come back again for another edition of the Coach's Corner with Wayne Moody and John Ebron and Oliver Blue. Oh, we so look forward to these opportunities to speak to the communities, to share, right, and build goodwill among the spaces and the places that we work in. And we thank you all for how you support the work that we do. And Wayne, do you have any final word before we close out?
Well, I just want to say, as far as the first quarter has been amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it continues to be just what I said it was going to be.
Right.
And
grounded.
Right. This is the year of being grounded, because 2025 is the launch. So I'm being grounded in order that I'll be launched. And I'm so excited because it doesn't mean that there haven't been turbulent waves. It doesn't mean that there haven't been winds that are waving. But the reality is, like Jesus said, come, and I've stepped on the water.
Right.
I'm stepped on the word. And that's what I step on. I step on the word that God has given me. And that's what we live by. We live by whatever word God has actually given us. And whatever he has said to do, it's like the miracle of wine. And Mary said, whatever he says to do, just do it. Whatever he says to do, just do it. And that's what I live by, the word of God. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that God actually gives us. And we're so unique in being who God wants us to be. I don't want to be nobody but me. And I need to know who God has called me to be. And that's what I do as a minister of transformation, helping people, supporting people to be that which God has ordained for them to be, not what I want them to be, because each of us are sent on purpose. Each of us are sent with destiny. Each of us are sent to fulfill that which God has already spoken. And I need to be aware of it. And as I'm aware of it, then I can just do it with even more vibrance, because, man, I am so happy for my life at 62. I'm just beginning this new era, this new chapter. And I got to take care of my health. I got to take care of my mental. I got to take care of my physical, my emotional. I got to work on the relationships that I have for my family, all the relationships I'm a part of. And then I got to continue to do this thing that I've been called to do, and that is transform. So thanks again for being there for me, bro. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Well, with that said, we're going to close out. Thank you so much. Again, this is the Coach's Corner with Wayne Moody, Minister of Transformation of the country of Belize, John Ebron, who is a master teacher and what we call a 10X expert at what he does. And John had to leave early. And then again, I thank you for being and listening in on us, whether you're catching the live or the replay. But until July of 2024, the Coach's Corner, we're going to put it on pause, but we'll be back in July. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Yes.